Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra Unit 5.1 Notes, Day 2. Today we are continuing our discussion about solving systems of linear inequalities by graphing. Our learning target today is to be able to solve systems of linear inequalities by graphing. So, the directions tell us that we need to solve each system by graphing, name one ordered pair or point that is a solution, and one that is not a solution. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look. Now, the first line here, I'm going to shade in blue. Okay, so a couple things that we need to know about that line. I need to know what the slope is. The slope is connected to the x, which means it's 2/5. And I need to know my y-intercept, which is 0 and -1. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at that inequality. That inequality tells me it's less than, so we're going to shade below. And since it has the less than or equal to, that we're going to have a solid line. Okay, so let's start graphing. At 0, -1, I start, and then I go up 2 over 5, up 2 over 5, and I'm going to do that in both directions. Okay, now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and draw my line. And then we're going to stop right there. I'm going to do the shading at the very end. Okay, my next line I'm going to graph in red. I need to know my slope, which is 2, which would be 2 over 1. My y-intercept is 0, 7. And now I'm looking at the inequality, it's the same symbol as the first one, so it's going to be below, and it's going to be solid. Okay, so let's go ahead and start graphing. I'm going to start at 0, 7. I'm going to go up 2 over 1, and I'm going to do that in both directions all the way through our graph. Okay, and then I'm going to draw my line. So that worked out nice because they were both solid lines, so I didn't even have to worry about making them dashed or having open points. So the next thing we talked about doing is breaking this up into 4 sections. Okay, we've got section 1, section 2, section 3, and section 4. And this is going to help us figure out which section should be graphed or should be shaded. Okay, so for the blue line told us that we need to shade where? Below. So I'm going to shade everything below the blue. So which 2 sections of the graph are not shaded? Yeah, 1 or 2. So I know 1 and 2 can't be my answer. Okay. Now for the red line, I need to also graph below the red line. So when I graph below the red line, what's the only number that's there? 3. Okay. 4 can't be my answer. So that means my only section of the graph that's going to be shaded is going to be section 3. And there's our answer. Now, it asks us to do 2 points. A point that is in the solution and the point that is not. So let's take a look at how they labeled those. They said is a solution and not a solution. So is a solution and we can pick anything in the yellow. It doesn't matter where it is. Okay, so is a solution, I'm just going to go right there. which is the point 7, 1, 2, negative 3. So I know that 7, negative 3 is a solution. Oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm spelling solution. Okay, and now I can go anywhere outside that's not a solution, and I'm going to go right there. And that's the point 0, 2. Okay, so is a solution and is not a solution. Remember that we're going to have to do that for each one of these. Okay? All right, next one. Okay, so once again, I'm going to do my first one in blue. We need to know our slope, which is negative 2 over 1. Our y-intercept is 0, negative 1. Are we going to have open points or closed points? Yeah, these are going to be open, which means we're going to have a dashed line. And we're going to shade below because it's less than. All right, why don't you try to do up before we do the red one? Up, I'm sorry. Let's graph this. So at 0, negative 1, that's where we start. And I'm going to go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. And just keep that pattern going. And then we're going to graph the line, except there's something I messed up. I'm not supposed to have closed points, am I? No, Mr. Grice, those are supposed to be open points. So we actually have to go back and change all of those. Hopefully you were doing them right. Okay, and then we need to have a dashed line. Okay, what I want you to do is pause the video and see if you can graph the red line all on your own. Good luck. Okay, and that's what your graph should look like. So now we're going to go ahead and label everything. Our sections 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we have to figure out what we're going to shade. Okay? So the blue one, I need to go below the blue because it's less than. So anything below is good. So the two sections that I can eliminate is I can eliminate 1 and 2. Okay? Now I also have to be below the red line. So when I'm below the red line, I can eliminate number 4. So the only one that's left is, yeah, that's right, 3. So 3 is going to be where we shade. And that's our answer. So the thing that we need to do now is we need to pick a point that is a solution and is not a solution. So I'm just going to copy exactly what I wrote on that last one. And the only thing I'm going to delete are those points because those points don't work for me anymore. Okay, so is a solution anywhere that is shaded. Okay, so right there, and that's the point 0, 8. Not 0, 8, 0, negative 8. Okay, and a point that's not a solution, I can go anywhere that isn't shaded. Okay, so let's just go, there's a point right there. And it's the point 0, 2. And remember, you guys can go anywhere. You don't have to go in the same spots that I did, okay? But we do have to have one solution and one non-solution. Okay, just going to highlight those so they stick out. Ugh, number 3. What's wrong with number 3? Yeah, they're not in y equals. The y is not by themselves. So what that means is we're going to have to solve for each one of those. Okay? So we have the 7x minus 3y is greater than 9, and the x plus 3y is less than or equal to 15. I don't like green. We'll do pink. Okay, so for each one of these, we need to solve them first. Okay, so let's solve the blue one. Okay, so I would subtract 7x to both sides because we want the y by itself. Don't forget that that's a negative 3y is greater than negative 7x plus 9. Now, to get the y by itself, I have to divide, and I have to divide by negative 3. So when I divide by negative 3, I just divided by a negative, which means I have to flip my sign. Okay? A negative divided by negative makes that a positive 7/3 x, and 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3. So that tells me that our slope is 7/3. Our y-intercept is 0, negative 3. It's going to be open and dashed. And it's less than, so that means we're going to shade below. Okay, so let's go ahead and graph that while we still remember. All right, I'm starting at 0, negative 3. I'm going to go up 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and over 3. And once again, Mr. Grice, those are supposed to be open. Let's see, can I do another point? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up? Nope. But I know that it would be somewhere over there. You don't need to put that point. Okay? And then I'm going to go in the other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And we have a dashed line. And make sure that we use our arrows. All right. Now, our next line. Once again, we have to solve for y. So I'm going to subtract the x to both sides. And we have 3y is less than or equal to negative x plus 15. And to get the y by itself, we have to divide by 3. So I have y less than or equal to negative x divided by 3 is actually a negative 1/3 x, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. So our slope is a negative 1/3. Our y-intercept is 5. It's going to be solid. And it's less than, so that means we're going to shade below. All right, so let's go ahead and graph that. I'm starting at 0, 5. I actually have closed points now. And I go down 1, over 3, down 1, over 3, down 1, over 3, and I'm going to do that in both directions. Okay. Okay, and now we're going to, that's right, graph the line. Okay, so now that we've got our lines, we can label all the sections. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's figure out where we have to shade. I'm going to start with my blue line, and it says that we have to shade below the blue. Okay, so I shaded 2 and 3, which means 1 and 4 aren't my answers. Now I need to shade below the red line. So I'm going to shade everything below the red line, and the only one that's still shaded is 3. So that means 3 is my answer. So that's going to be the portion of the graph that we shaded. Okay, so I need to do one solution and one non-solution. So I'm just going to paste that. And why don't you guys pause the video and see if you can figure that all on your own. Good luck. Okay, so I had the point for my solution as 4, 2, and not a solution is negative 6, 2. Now, remember, you do not have to have the exact same points as I do. The only rules are if it is a solution, it can be anywhere in the shaded area, and not a solution is anywhere that's not shaded. Okay? Now, for the next example, number 4, I want you to see if you can do the lines all by yourself. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you a quick hint with the y is greater than or equal to negative 7, that when it's just y, it's a special case, and y is a horizontal line. Okay? But for the 4x plus y is less than or equal to 5, you're going to need to graph that one, or solve. Whoa, that's a huge highlighter. You're going to need to solve for y. Okay? So just graph them, and then we'll do the shading together. Pause the video, and good luck. Okay, so we would have gotten y is less than or equal to negative 4x plus 5. Our slope was negative 4 over 1, and our y-intercept is 0, 5. And it's a solid line, and we shade below. So there are our 2 lines, and now I'm going to label the 4 sections of our graph. And now we need to figure out what we're going to shade. Okay? So let's start with our blue line. Our blue line says that it's solid, and we have to shade below. Okay? So solid and below for the blue line. So, or just below is the only thing we have to worry about. So the numbers that were shaded were 1 and 4, which means I can erase 2 and 3. Now for the red line says that we need to shade above. So let's shade above the red line. The only number that's not shaded is 4, which means my answer is a number 1. So everything in 1 is what you should shade. And there you go. So once again, you need to come up with a solution and not a solution. So go ahead and pause the video and try it out. Sorry, I'm being lazy and just rewriting it like that. Did you come up with your 2 answers yet as I'm doing all this? Remember, anywhere that's shaded is a solution, and anywhere that is not shaded is not a solution. So I just randomly picked those points. My solution is 0, 0, and my not a solution would be positive 7, negative 8. And remember, guys, you can have different points than I can. That part doesn't matter. All right. Number 5. So looking at number 5, the first thing that I notice is that's not solved for y. Okay. And so that's going to be our blue line. And then we have our red line. So what I'm going to do this time is we're going to solve the blue one together, and then you guys are going to graph and shade all on your own. Okay? So to solve for y, we have to subtract the x to both sides. We have negative 8y is less than or equal to negative x plus 40. And then the last step is we have to divide by, what type of 8 is that? Oh, that's right, a negative. And whenever we divide by negative, what do I have to do to my symbol? That's right, we have to flip it. Okay, so a negative divided by a negative makes that 1/8 x minus 5. Okay, so that line, our slope is 1/8. We start at 0, -5. Okay, it's solid, that's right. And it's going to be up above because it's greater than. Okay, now our red line, it's a special case, it's just y, so that's a vertical line. It's going to be solid and it's less than, okay? And remember, vertical line less means left, okay? So you're all on your own. Pause the video. Good luck. Okay, there we go. Now, as we were shading this, it had to be above the blue line, which means section 3 and 4 we could have eliminated, and it needs to be left than the red line, and that's when we got to eliminate quadrant number 2. Or not quadrant 2, but that section number 2. Okay? And then remember, solution and not a solution, you can pick anything that's shaded and one that's not shaded. Okay. Last one, number 11. That's right, it's the last one. You guys are all on number 11. Number 6, you guys are all on your own. Okay, so we have 11x plus 8y is less than 64. And then we have x minus 4y is greater than or equal to 20. So this is going to be my red line, and this will be my blue line. As I'm just looking ahead, remember that's a -4, so it means you're going to be dividing by a negative. Okay? So go ahead and pause the video. You're going to solve and graph and shade. Guys, you're doing everything all on your own. Pause the video. Good luck. Okay, so there's my work. The blue line should have been y is less than -11/8 x plus 8. And then the red line, y is less than or equal to 1/4 x minus 5. And there's our shading. We had to be below the red line and below the blue line. And then our last point was we have to, figure out the solution and not a solution. All right, so solution, I'm going to go with the point right here, which is, that's right, -1, -8, because it's shaded. And my not a solution, I'm just going to be boring and go with the origin because it's not shaded. 0, 0. Okay. Well, guys, guess what? That's right. That's the end of the notes. Okay. So your homework is let's see, Oh, were those all the answers right there? Oh my gosh, we just should have looked at those. But it's 5.1 practice B. Now, if you have any questions or need extra help, please come see Ms. Karans or myself. We would love to help you out. Otherwise, that's it for Algebra Unit 5.1 Notes, Day 2. Thanks for watching.